19th of January 25, and I'm just looking back at Biden's legacy. I mean, I've not really been following the presidency. I, I used to follow it, but what's changed is when Trump was president, I used to watch CNN. Well, it was actually MSNBC, mostly on YouTube, which so that was illegal viewings of YouTube. Whoever's uploading that was doing it illegally because they're not on YouTube. So I've, I followed it there from 16 to 20, but now I don't really follow ordinary news. I follow, people on YouTube, and so I've totally, I don't really follow the legacy news or the main news. So I'm just picking up on what I could work out. But from what I saw, like his legacy, I think it's not very good, really. The main things I can think of is Palestine and mass migration. The the ones that created America becoming a minority, and becoming a majority of countries that look to be pretty unstable and bad for women's rights, LGBT, and everything really, corruption, a mix of that, which has never been seen before, as the whole West is going through. And I wonder really if that's why they lost the election, really, him and him. I mean, personally, 78 seems pretty ridiculous for someone becoming the president, but you still can get pretty fit 78-year-olds. I mean, he really does look sort of going now at 82, I mean, Trump's 78 now, I think, so he might be the same, but it seems a bit much for someone at that age, but he looks an old 82 as well, so, and that, he does look really like he's, he has got the start of dementia or something, but we don't know, apparently, but it looks that way. But the other thing about him is, throughout his career, I've not really been impressed by him. For a start, he used one of Newton's Celtic speech almost, well, as a template, but almost word for word, and it wasn't really a very good one. He used that in the 80s or something. So sort of like I remember him for, and also he raises his voice in a way that I don't like. It's that sort of way that he raises your voice that suddenly makes you feel threatened. You know what I mean? So I don't think that's a very good thing for a leader to have, especially a Democrat leader. Um, so you'll see speeches where he just suddenly raises his voice. And it's a bit scary. It's like threatening. So I'm not really impressed with him. I didn't want him to be the leader at the time. I mean, at the time I was thinking Elizabeth Warren or something, but just something. But really, mass migration's always been on that radar, and none of them are going to help in that fashion, or in Palestine, really. So Palestine mass migration, I think, has been an absolute total disaster. And of course, you've got to remember when he came in, it was COVID and all that. And then he had his Afghanistan disaster as well, which was the worst ever way to remove your troops. I'm not even sure he gave notice to the other NATO things fast enough. They left all that sort of gear behind. It was a total disaster. I mean, people are blaming him for the Afghanistan sort of removal, but it wasn't him. It was Trump. Trump done a deal with the Taliban, basically, and that was it. That was really it. I mean, the reason they were there for 20 years was to try and make it as desirable as the West, which most Afghans want to move to. They used Turkey as a sort of leapfrog to Afghanistan, to the West. They don't seem to want to stay in Turkey, which would be regarded as the most Western Muslim country, although it seems to be going backwards really under their dictator. Other, um, but anyway, yeah. So most Afghans want to move to the West, but they want to kill Westerners in Afghanistan. So that was a total disaster as well. I mean, and of course the Taliban managed to bomb a big crowd to try and get some soldiers, and they did get some soldiers in a bomb in the last couple of days at the airport in Kabul. And then Biden, Biden's team sort of think somebody blew up somebody's house or something, and I don't know if it was right, they got the right or wrong people. People are saying they had the wrong people, but what the families issued a statement after that. They said that as compensation, they would accept citizenship to America or in the West. So that's how they feel about your just family's just been bombed by the West or USA, and you're asking to be moved there. Meanwhile, Afghans have been killing the West there for pride, basically, for ego. Uh, they didn't want to have a democracy like in the West, even though they all want to move here. So you had that. You had Palestine. He was a total disaster, and it's ironic that he came up with this deal last May, but it's Trump that's pushed it through just a few days before his election. But we don't know yet whether Trump said to Netanyahu, we'll let you take the West Bank or more parts of Syria, or you don't know what. They'll just you can quietly remove the Palestinians from Gaza instead. We don't know what's going on there, so you can't trust Trump on that for sure. But just that beast deal anyway, it's a success for Trump. But Biden's trying to claim it, but he could have done it last May. But at no point did he give up on giving Israel weapons, arms, etc. So he was a total disaster on that, you know. So he'll be remembered for that. I mean, it does look a bit like genocide and ethnic cleansing, but they don't seem to feel that at the moment. So we'll just need to see. Well, so I looked at Grok to see what things people were saying. Domestic policy. Well, he had COVID at first for the first 2, even 3 years. You could say. But the interesting thing about Biden is he was going to come in with a big plan, Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, and he couldn't get that through because of one senator or something. I can't remember who it was. It might even be Tulsi Gabbard or something. Somebody, 2 of them, Democrats wouldn't let him get through, and it's just a tragedy that something like that it couldn't get through because it sounded very interesting. It sounded like that sort of plan that I can't remember who it was, Eisenhower or someone had, but couldn't get it through because of that, really. Not in the way he wanted. And that was around the $1 trillion for infrastructure projects, including roads, bridges, public transport. And it wouldn't surprise me if that turns out, when you look back, he done really well in that broadband and electric vehicle infrastructure. Because I always think that the government should be doing that sort of stuff, So we had the American Rescue Plan. That was just to give people money during COVID. And he says he regrets now because Trump, when he done that, on the checks he put a picture of himself on it or said this is from Trump. But when Biden done it, he didn't do that. He just put it from the US government. And he says he regrets that now, which I think is correct, because you need to link these sort of things so that people know, because people don't know, because most of the time they're working or something or doing other things. So, and they probably forget these sort of things. So, Inflation Reduction Act focused on climate change, healthcare tax policy, includes measures to reduce carbon emissions. Yeah, I don't know about that. And when he done that infrastructure plan, Tony Blair said that was a great thing, he was really looking forward to that. Of course, he didn't get it through in the way he wanted, which was a big disappointment, to me anyway. The Chips and Science Act aimed at boosting American semiconductor manufacturing, research and development to reduce reliance on foreign supply chains, particularly from China. Well, that's a good idea, because Apple get their chips from China and that. But I think Apple have just changed recently. Maybe it was partly to do with this. They've moved back to America for that. Because when you get Motorola, it doesn't really exist now, it was such a big thing. Gun control, well, that's always, the Republicans always axe that, so that's always a problem. I don't blame them for that or whatever. Student loan forgiveness, well, I don't know about that, really. Foreign policy withdrawal from Afghanistan, absolute disaster. Like I said, the reason they stayed there was to make it a democracy and make it like the West, where most Afghans want to move. They don't want to stay in any current Muslim country or in Africa or South America or Central America. We don't know why. Middle East. But Afghans kept killing the soldiers and that's who were helping, so couldn't be done. Like, ended up a total disaster the way he withdrew. He shouldn't have withdrawn at all. Tony Blair said he should have just left a few, because usually these sort of armies, you just need a few Westerners to stay there to keep it stable, to keep them faithful, because their armies actually collapse through fear. I mean, this happened in Iraq as well, from the ISIS. Iraq had all the equipment they needed, all the organisation, but their soldiers just ran, basically, from ISIS. Strengthening NATO, yeah, that's good. I think NATO's a good thing. Oh yeah, Ukraine as well. The thing for Ukraine, well, it has been given good support, but it's never been enough. They've never really done it, and they've always been slow to go new phases, like doing more. You can do bombing into Russia and stuff like that. So he's always been behind the curve, and it really is sad, really, because possibly I could win over with a Ukraine victory by now. But yeah, we don't know what Trump's going to do. Trump said he'll have it sorted in 24 hours. He was going to give Russia lots of the land, like they have. But now he's saying it might take 6 months, and now he's saying, I mean, Trump can't be trusted in anything. It wouldn't surprise me if he's involved in more wars rather than less. Just remember, he was going to sort out the North Korea thing. Ban Ki-moon, he was going to make a wall across the American border. I think he done about 500 miles or something of wall. I'm not even sure it's that good. And the Mexicans were meant to pay for it, but nobody even remembers Trump, because he tells so many lies. There's nowhere to stand for it. It's just sinking sand. There's no point in even arguing. Climate leadership, well, they don't know that. They joined the Paris Agreement. Wouldn't have surprised me if Trump leaves it again. Social issues, well, yeah, I don't know. Don't know about that. I don't like commenting a moment. COVID response was pretty good, I think. Public health, I don't know. Economic recovery, significant job post-19 recovery. Because when you think of the COVID-19 thing, I'm not surprised we aren't still in depression because of that. People were getting paid to stay home. Everyone was. And so it's amazing the way they've come out of it. Everywhere in the West, really. Inflation. Yeah, I don't know. It's a border and security disaster, economic management. So you can't tell really. This is from Grok. Plus, it was a fall of woke. Really, he was a king of woke, and it's been a fall. So that's good in my opinion. With Elon Musk buying Twitter, Trump being elected is another thing, because in no way should Trump have been elected if the Democrats were just given a good stable offering, but they were given mass migration, making the people that created America, making them a minority sooner, ultra fast, creating a new unknown majority of unstable societies who do really badly in LGBT, women's rights, corruption, etc. So I think that might have had something to do with it. And of course, Kamala didn't. Really, people rejected her because no way she lost to Ira. So for her to lose it, they were really rejecting her, even if it was close, the election. And Trump won the popular vote as well. It wasn't just that he won the states. So looking back on it, it was a missed opportunity on the economy, I'd say, even though the economy's doing pretty well apparently. So here's the economy, just because this was people just used to look at this one thing, GDP, that's all they used to look. Reports indicate that real GDP growth under Biden has been robust. To me, the GDP isn't what's important. What's important is people's quality of life, including standards of living, you know. That's not the same thing as GDP. And that woke president from New Zealand, she brought that in as a factor when viewing these sort of things. The economy over in New Zealand around about 2019 or something, quality of life factor or whatever, which I totally agree with. It's not really just about growth, you know. China's got growth, but people don't want to move there really, so it seems. Or the Westerners, or Corbynistas, or Democrats, American Democrats, using them as examples. It's saying it saw an average GDP of 3.4%, which is really good considering they had COVID. I thought we were going to have a big depression. So, I mean, but I don't know what they're comparing it to. You know, are they comparing it to 2020 when we had, you know, the COVID thing in its full quarterly growth? So, for some reason they made a big growth. I don't know how high. It's always hard for me to find out these things. Was it to do with fracking? Was it to do... Because we've all got energy problems. I mean, they actually import LPG, liquid petroleum gas now, to even to the west, to West Europe. So I don't know why it's such a success, you know. And I'm just looking at... I thought I'd done one in Google Gemini as well, but I can't find it at the moment. So in 21, after 2020, which was the COVID year, the growth rate was 5.5%, which is fantastic. China used to have that 10, 15 years ago. I don't know, China's slowed down a lot now as well. I think they're like 2% or something. Because they're going for their middle class and they want quality of life now. They don't just want growth. I mean, if you've got slave labour, you're going to have fantastic growth. This high growth was influenced by the economic recovery from the impacts of COVID-19, including stimulus measures. Yeah, that's another interesting thing, because I think stimulus measures seem a good idea, but 23 increased slightly to 2.54%, so it was stabilising, and then this year it's saying growth maybe 4.6%, which is over the past 4 years. Is that talking about now? I don't know. Anyway, so in terms of GDP, like this is a success, but you had the COVID thing, and so did Trump in his last year as well. So it was a missed opportunity, really. Himself, I don't think he was too old, really. I'm not against 70-year-olds making. I mean, Reagan was about 74 or something. Not that I'm saying I think that's still a bit past your peak, but I'm not totally against old people doing that, you know, because then it means whoever's wise, you know, whoever's the best, and if they're up to it. So, and also it means that for all younger people, you might still become president when you're in your late 70s, you know what I mean? So, although America's pretty stupid about the really old politicians. I mean, some of them are in their 90s, I think, in the Senate and that, you know, that's it is a bit ridiculous. I mean, there's no other job you probably would be allowed to do other than being a senator or whatever, you know, at that age. But, yeah, so there you go, that's me talking about Biden's legacy. Although I don't follow the news much, so I'm speaking in ignorance mostly. Goodbye.